This comment proves he is built different, as a lot of eyes have been on what Masai Ujiri's had to say following the close to this Toronto Raptors season, what star players have had to say, following this year. But Darko Rajakovic had a lot to discuss following the end of this year's NBA season regarding star players getting integrated into the lineup, including Brandon Ingram, what development we've seen and expect from Scottie Barnes. But most importantly, one thing that he said out there in his press conference has Raptors fans very, very excited, as through the past year and a half of rebuilding for this Toronto Raptors squad, there have been some concerns about Darko Rajakovic's coaching style in terms of how it will translate to winning, because no one can argue, no one can come out and honestly say that Darko Rajakovic has done a poor job in regards to managing the players, managing the personalities, and frankly developing the young guys to take their games to the next level. It's a disingenuous argument. Darko Rajakovic has done a phenomenal job out there along those lines. But the one concern, the one thing a lot of people have brought up is, hey, is Darko Rajakovic just a rebuilding development coach, or is he a guy that's going to be able to make tough decisions, make the right moves, make the right choices in order to make this Toronto Raptors team a winning squad, a team that can win a championship? Is Darko Rajakovic that caliber of coach? Of course, you never know these things until you actually see it, until you actually see out there on the court, but a few things he's been saying out there in this press conference has been very, very exciting. So let's just jump straight into it, because frankly, he came out and said, this has a lot of people, even the Darko haters, swinging to his side a little bit, as he came out and discussed how if I wanted to keep people happy, I would be selling ice cream. I wouldn't be a basketball coach. My job is to keep people accountable, to help them grow, to put them in a situation to be successful. And Darko, for all the, how player friendly he is, how much people love him. And this, again, press conference a few days ago, we've covered a bunch of different stuff sort of in between that, but it's the off season, so we're just getting to things as we get around. But Darko Rajakovic coming out and saying, hey, I'm going to make the right decisions for this team. And we've seen him make some tough decisions for this Raptors organization, for this Raptors team, in regards to Chris Boucher having to bench one of the more talented players on the roster in order to give more minutes, more development to a Jonathan Bobo. But rather than the fair play, because I remember a lot of 12-man rotation, running lots of deep players and things like that at the NBA level, it doesn't make sense. Darko Rajakovic is coming out and saying, hey, this team is about winning. I'm not here to make any friends. I want the Toronto Raptors to win games, to get the most out of our players. So there's a chance that this team is going to make a playoff run next year, push for championships. And he was very adamant about that being the direction, being the push for this team. So he talked about how we represent the Toronto Raptors, Toronto, Canada. We take it very seriously. We want to position this organization to be contenders, to win championships for a stretch of 10 years. When we win the championship, and we will, that's not the end goal. The end goal is to do it again. And I love this. And everything, you could say the right things. You can talk about random stuff out there in, post-season press conferences. It's easy, and it's, there's a lot of pressure. The team's been trying to capture a flag for this entire season. But Darko Rajakovic is coming in with that intensity, coming in with that poise. I know some people undervalue that. I know there's a lot of people coming, the motivation speeches are corny. They're this, they're that. But honestly, if you don't have a coach that's players are able to rally behind. We've seen so many times. It happened with Nick Nurse, who is one of the better tacticians around the NBA, led the Toronto Raptors to a championship. But when things got a little bit tumultuous in regards to roster construction, in terms of roster situation, Masai Ujiri was forced into a really, really tough spot in firing the coach that led to the team to the NBA championship, a guy I still regard as one of the better coaches in the NBA. Darko Rajakovic is coming in, and the one thing that Darko does is the vibes are always built, and he can just always come out and build that motivation. Everyone loves Darko Rajakovic out there on this team. Scottie Barnes came out and had this to say out there on his Instagram. Love you too, coach. Making that as his Instagram story is Darko Rajakovic just praising the Toronto Raptors young star. But we've seen it with the Sixers now as well. A coach like Nick Nurse, who's very talented, just unable to, through the turmoil of, a lack of talent or some injuries and stuff like that, just isn't able to get the most out of it season in, season out. And I think Darko's done that, at least with the individual players. The players have rallied behind him. They love him. It's always positive vibes, positive energy out there in the back end. And he's doing it while making some tough decisions. And the decisions, as you become a more winning franchise, as you become a more winning team, the young players are trying to go from that, I made it to the NBA, to, I'm trying to get a proper contract in the NBA. That's where Darko Rajakovic is going to have to come out and be like, hey, I'm going to make some tough decisions here. Jonathan Mobo, if you can't shoot threes, next season, the Raptors on a playoff push, you might be moved to the bench. If, Jamison Bowles playing defense at elite level, there isn't just free minutes, free play just getting thrown around. Now, Darko's managed the rotations, I think, fairly well, especially during development seasons, but we'll see how it actually goes out there when things are coming around. But you also have to be able to manage star players, and you had a lot to say in regards to the star players on this Toronto Raptors team, saying that I told specifically Brandon Ingram that I don't want to change him. People are always going to talk about, oh, mid-range, bad shot. Brother, if you can make that shot from that position, go for it. And frankly, I love this. Again, it's the analytics side. Threes are worth more than twos. You take them at a higher volume, depending on longer twos especially. I get the whole analytics side, but you have a guy in Brandon Ingram who can come out and drop 22 a game, 5.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists, facilitate, knock down the three-pointers at an elite rate, but, is just a bucket getter. I think especially with the construction of this roster, with how things are built, how things are set up for this Raptors team, Brandon Ingram coming out and just being able to be him and be a bucket getter around whoever we have out there on the team next season, but Scottie Barnes is an elite facilitator. Jakob Poeltl in that mid-post area is a very team-first, capable center playmaker for this team. IQ obviously runs the point. He can make a lot of assists. RJ Barrett is approved of that playmaking department. And having a guy that can just be a bona fide bucket getter out there at the end of the shot clock, wherever on the court he is, that's extremely valuable to the Toronto Raptors. And being a math guy myself, CS nerd, you need those intangibles. You need those different elements. You need those different pieces for all these players. So I like that Darko Rajakovic isn't going to try to change the star play that we traded for at this year's trade deadline, just invested multiple years in his NBA contract into. I am very, very happy with that approach. And Darko Rajakovic being standing firm out there in terms of, okay, Brent, do you? Let's run with that. So that's a big positive there. And then also he had some comments in regards to Scottie Barnes, saying that Scottie Barnes is a unicorn. I love Scottie Barnes. I love everything he does. Scottie Barnes is the reason our defense was so good and improving this season because Scottie Barnes puts much into it. Scottie Barnes is the leader of our group. So you're doubling down on Scottie, who did have needs to work on some things, especially the three-point shooting this season, but 27%, but still had a phenomenal year. 19 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 1 block per night, and 1.4 steals. Just 23 years old. I know the shooting's going to be the big thing, and Masai Ujiri discussed it out there in his season-ending press conference, but that is clearly something that needs some work, needs some development, and no one's going to argue against that, but I like the coach, again, rallying behind these guys, but also coming out with statements like, hey, I'm not just here to make friends. I'm here to, I'm not here to sell ice cream and make people happy. But, he's coming in with that mentality, but still not veering away from, hey, we're about to get good, so I have to become, a stupid person. I have to come out and just be a hard ass on everyone. Like, that's not what we're looking for Darko Rajakovic. We want him to make tough decisions, but keep the vibes high out there in the locker room. And frankly, it proves he's built different from the Nick Nurses of the world, from the other coaches we've seen across the NBA. He's taken a very interesting approach, and frankly, I am very, very happy with it. So let me know what you guys think about Darko Rajakovic's comments to finish off the season in the comment section down below. You guys best think as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.